Hello, welcome to another episode of Iron Horse Weekly. This week we have a bit of a commission going on. This is actually an 8F. It's a Hornby, super detailed 8F to be exact. And as you can see, it's a very pretty looking thing, but rather shiny and plasticky out the box. That cab detail is amazing. And the chap wants us doing very heavily, to quote his own words there. I think the way to go about this is we'll start by dulling down the plastic look of the locomotive with the pounders, and then we'll move on to a little bit of detail work and what have you. Once we've finished doing that, I'll have a few photographs for you, and then we can crack on with the rest of the video. Now, I've only ever seen an 8F once in my life, and that was at the Keith Littleworth Valley Railway a few weeks ago, and it was a really big bit of kit. Nice looking locomotive, very striking. Anyway, but as you can see here, after a little bit of application of weathering powder, a few different tones, there's about 3 different shades of grey and black on that at the minute. And even that just really helps tone down the look of the plastic finish you get out of the box. It just makes it look a lot better. And I suppose you could, if you wanted to, just leave it as it is. And that'll be a really nice finish as well. If you just wanted perhaps just a dirty, dusty finish to a fairly newly built 8F, depending on the era you were modelling and whether it was late steam or if it was early steam or what have you. And obviously you'd weather it accordingly and go from there. Anyway, let's see how it looks once it's fully done. All in all, I was quite happy with how it turned out. I don't often get a chance to do steam locomotives, so this was a really nice change from the usual diesels that I tend to have my way with. Okay, so with that said, let's crack on with the rest of this week's video. Hello, gentle viewers. So let me explain the situation as to why I am in such a reclined state for this video. Earlier this week, I went to the hospital. Yes, this morning I went to the hospital after a complication with my ongoing back problem. Suffice to say, it got very bad, quite severe in fact, and I had to go to the hospital to get it looked at. Turns out they've decided what the problem is. Looks like I've got a trapped nerve, so I'm now on a huge increase of medication on top of the stuff I was already on, and then I rattle when I walk. So, hence why I'm laid down here. I'm trying my best to rest it before going back to the day job tomorrow. So, here we are doing a talking face video. Quite good actually, because it's kind of casual, but I want to talk about Bachmann's 2023 summer releases. Now, they've just been announced this week, and there's some really nice stuff in there. Now, I'm only going to focus on the double O gauge locomotives. Yes, they've done O gauge and things like that, but my channel is all focused on double O gauge, so that's the lane I'm going to be staying in. And the elephant in the room, I suppose, would be their pricing points on pretty much most of their stuff. But before we go any further, I'm going to do a little bit of reading courtesy of their press release stuff, just so we can have a little bit more information on what's going on about each piece and what have you. So they've also announced, as part of their 2023 summer announcements, that they've brought out the Class 70 in cordless livery, which we'll get onto a bit later on. They've also updated their Class 40 tooling as well. It's not a new Class 40. KR Models have announced a Class 40 as well, and I think Bachmann have kind of seen that. They did what they did with the Cura scale with a 37. Cura scale released this amazing Class 37 sound fitted with stair lives and everything else for 270 quid or whatever it is. And Bachmann thought, no, we're going to have a bit of that, and they slightly updated their tooling, put chains on the bogies, made the fans spin, and bang, 380 quid. That's the RRP. £380 RRP for a Class 37 in double O gauge. Mind you, this is not O gauge, in double O gauge. I'm not sure what happened at Bachmann HQ that day when they thought that this could be really good idea. We'll just announce this Class 37 and we'll charge people near 400 sheets for it, because that's like a good idea. That seems like a fair price, doesn't it? I'm not so sure it does. I mean, especially when you look at Hattons. They've just announced their, I think it was a P class. They're re-bringing out that again, and that's a fairly recent model anyway. And they've announced that they're doing a rerun of it, if you will, another production run, and it's now cheaper than it was originally. So quite clearly, Hattons they're taking one of two routes. Either they're selling them at a slight loss to gain more customers, which is a good way to do it, or they're genuinely just selling it at a fair price. I think 85 quid for a brand new locomotive is fantastic. Whether you're into steam or not, it's a good way to go. Anyway, moving swiftly back to Bachmann. From what I can see with the Class 40, they have put a Plux 22 decoder socket in there and upgraded the chassis so it can have a double speaker socket in there, and now the roof fan spins. I'm really not convinced that those upgrades are worth the extra pennies they're asking. Obviously they are to some people, because a lot of them already sold out. People have bought them already, but there we are. They're calling it DCC Sound Deluxe. I believe you get tinted windows on some of these as well. Now, using Rails of Sheffield as an example, they have seen fit to discount the RRP by, at current time of this, by 15%, I think it is. There we are, 15% discount at the minute. And that brings it down to £322.95, which is still near enough 50 quid more than what Accurascale are asking. Bearing in mind, Accurascale seem to be offering you a lot more for your pennies than Bachmann seem to be doing. I'm not sure how the new Bachmann 37 compares to the slightly older one. Yes, of course, you've got upgraded speaker sockets and you've got the 21 pin or 22 pin PLUX or whatever it is. But is that enough? Is it? I'm not so sure. Now this one, the Coreless Class 70, was one that's been on my list for a long while, and I almost bought a Freightliner one, but I do want the Coreless one because I do like Coreless, and I don't have anything of that rail operator in my collection yet, and I think I'd like to add something of them to it. Let's see what Bachmann are saying we get for our money. So they're listing an accessory pack as a feature. I'm fairly confident most manufacturers just include an accessory pack anyway these days. Decorated cab interiors, yes. Interior cab lighting. Interesting choice with the Zemo sound decoder though. They've not gone with an ESU sound decoder. I'm not sure why that would be. I quite like ESU, I've had great results with them before. Possibly some kind of a political thing, maybe. It's a pretty looking locomotive though, but I just cannot justify paying 350 quid for one. It's as simple as that. I could afford to get one, yes, of course I could. All about whether I should as opposed to whether I can, and I'm just not going to pay it. It's simple as that. I think 350 quid is a lot of money. It is, and I just don't believe that the production costs have gone up that much to justify it. And I think there is a slight hint, in my humble opinion, of adding value to a product because of your brand name. Case in point, you can go to any outdoor wear shop and get yourself a raincoat for between 30 and 80 quid, something like that. But if you go to Balenciaga, you can pay a couple of grand for one of them. Same thing, different brand name. See the point? I'm just not entirely convinced that that's the way forward. Especially when no one's got any money, apparently, supposed to be a recession at the minute, and I know that my personal circumstances have gone down a little bit in terms of being quite as flush as I used to be. But I don't want to turn this into a slagging match or whatever. Bachmann makes some really great locomotives, it has to be said, they really do. I've got quite a number of Bachmann locomotives in my fleet, and they all run really nicely, and they're all solidly made and weighty, and they do the job very well. But I must admit, none of them are brand new purchases, with the exception of one, which was Evening Star, which I got from Rails on sale late last year, and it was fairly heavily reduced in price as well. Sound fitted too. I paid just over 200 quid for that, which I thought was a pretty damn good bargain. 200 quid for a sound fitted locomotive is fantastic, and it's a big old diesel as well, so I was happy with that. Now the Class 20 is nice, and Bachmann are asking for 335 quid for a Class 20 little tiny diesel like that. Again, Rails have knocked it down to 284, which with Rails' discount, it's a bit more accessible, I think. You're not too far away from it being silly money. 285 quid, DCC sound fitted, I think that's about right. Class 40s, yeah, okay, they look great, few different liveries, green, blue, blah, blah, blah. I'm holding out, I am going to hold out for the KR Models version. I think what they've got planned is really going to shake things up. And if their GT3 is anything to go by, and yes, there was a few teething issues with the FEL, few issues with that, but on the whole it was a success. Really nice, unique looking locomotive. I think it'll be worth the wait, so I'm going to hold on a little bit longer and see what they're bringing to market with that one, rather than paying for a slightly updated, older Bachmann version, which is going to cost you, again, 330 quid retail, or 280 quid from Rails discounted, which again, 280 quid isn't too bad. That's still quite accessible. I know it's a lot of money, but you are getting a Bachmann sound-fit locomotive for that money. And again, I'll say it before, Bachmann do make some absolutely superb models, so bear that in mind. Then you've got the AFE stuff. They brought out the Class 143s again. That's actually not too bad the price at all. 212 quid for DCC ready, I think that is. No DCC sound fitted option for the 2-car DMU sets, which I find interesting. I'm not sure why that is. All these other locomotives seem to have a sound fitted option available. Really not sure why Bachmann opted out of offering a sound fitted option, but there we are, strange. And the rest of it's just buildings and things, which yeah, okay, buildings, Scencraft, yeah, 50 quid for a cottage, okay. If you want to check out the full range, you can always go to Rails of Sheffield's website. I always find them really good for looking at this and pieces like this. Plus, they always do a little bit of a discount as well. You can also check out Great Eastern Models. Apparently, they're still Bachmann Retailer of the Year. I've used Great Eastern Models quite a few times. And they've got a good little Facebook page too, where they put all of their little discounts and sales specials and what have you on the Facebook page. So, definitely worth checking out Great Eastern Models as well. But as usual, guys, what's your opinion? Do you think Bachmann, and to be fair, it's not just Bachmann, Hornby as well, and Helgen, they're all increasing their prices. Do you think the price increases are justified? Are we really getting enough for our money these days? Or are we just, for lack of a better word, sitting back and taking it and accepting it as gospel that prices have gone up, and this is just now the world we live in, where we pay 350 quid for a sound-fitted locomotive? I think your local model shop's going to be your best friend soon, because you're always going to have a supply of second-hand models. And let's be honest with you, a 15-20-year-old Bachmann model is still a really damn good model. Certainly a far cry from the simpler Lima stuff that's out there. Of course, Lima still has its place, but it's not for everyone. But it does offer scope for upgrading things yourself, adding detail yourself, and painting and things. But a 15-20-year-old Bachmann, still really good. Just watch out for the split chassis stuff if you want to run DCC. Can be a little bit tricky to fit them. I've had trouble with split chassis before, but other than that, keep your eyes peeled for the bargains. That would be my recommendation. And that's certainly what I do. I've not bought a brand new locomotive since that Bachmann I bought from Rhythm Sheffield last year. Oh, I also bought the SW, so I wonder, but that wasn't a brand new. That was second hand. Anyway, guys, I'm reclined. I'm in a lot of pain, so I'm going to go and relax. And I'll see you all next week for hopefully a bit more of an interesting video. Till then, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, all that groovy stuff. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.